here with Half Dozen Customs. We're back out here on the Jeep today. And we are going to be making the inside of this rocker. So this is so the new rocker outer skin that we ordered from, I think it's from Willys, is where it came from. The sticker was in the box, but I don't know if they both came from the same place, the lower cap corner and this. I think they did. But Willys. Willys is where I believe this came from. It was brand new in the box about a year ago. It rusted just sitting in the box, so you know I didn't allow this to happen. It just happened. Very humid around where I'm at, so bare metal rusts if it just sits. So it is what it is. I'll throw it in the blast cabinet. We'll get it all blasted and cleaned up. But anyways, we are making the inside for this. I already made the inside for the other one about a year ago. I did have the measurements written out on my table for it, but the table has since been cleaned, so I had to go back and I had to remeasure what I did on this side so that we could transfer it over. I have the piece all cut out, I have it marked, I have it ready to go. The one side, the smaller side, we can bend in the brake. There's enough clearance for us to do it. This bigger side, we're gonna have to bend here on the table. I'm gonna bend the smaller side first and hope that it gives us enough room to bend this side on the table. But I have a feeling I might have to remove my bar that I have here on the front of my workbench. When I built the first one, this bar was not here, so we'll just do what we gotta do as we go along. But I'm gonna go, like I said, I adjusted the teeth on my brake. So that we span the distance that we needed to span. So we just barely clear on this side. But like I said, the other side is a no-go. So double check, but I'm pretty sure I stuck it in there and it didn't work. Yeah, unfortunately, this brake is just a little too short for doing this. One of these days, I'm gonna get a big boy brake. I don't know exactly where I'm gonna put it. It may have to sit outside, but one of these days I will get it. So now we gotta just marking the edge of the metal because the way that I gotta bend it over this table, I need the mark on the other side. So now we gotta clamp this down and bend this And hopefully there's enough room. We'll find out. I know one problem that I may run into here, which we'll see, is I know that this thing is, I run into not being able to put my clamps on. See what I'm saying? Clamp's gonna be too small. Well, it might work if I get it the right direction. Instead of horsing around with this hanging, just gonna pull my bar off. It's not often that I run into this, but I have ran into it a couple of times. It's not hard to pull the bar off, it's harder to put it back on than anything. That thing's pretty heavy. So one thing that I don't like about that Harbor Freight bender is it's not always accurate. I have tried to make adjustments to it, and I don't know if it's just I don't know what I'm doing, which is a very good possibility. Right out of the box, it worked awesome. I love the machine. I use it all the time. But when you're making full-length bends like this, like both ends where the machine has its little arms, like always do a nice crisp bend, but as you get into the middle, like it loses its strength in the middle, so which you know is understandable, but I always gotta kind of make slight adjustments to it afterwards, and I've tried to adjust the machine, and like, you know, you do a quarter turn on the bolt and the machine don't work. So, you know, but like I said, that could just be because I have no idea what I'm doing. But it would, you know, it would just be nice to have, you go to put a bend in it and it makes a matching bend all the way across. Like on small stuff, it works awesome. On the bigger stuff, you know, you just gotta make adjustments. I guess it's not that big of a deal. I'm bitching about nothing. I don't remember this thing giving me such a hard time last time. I did that and got that so clean last time. I guess before I go through all this work, make sure it fits in there. If I remember correctly, I ended up making the second one twice. Or the first one, I made it twice. Yeah, she'll work. What I'm trying to do is, I don't know if you guys can see it in the camera, but the first time that I was smacking this to try and straighten out the edge, like I straightened out my edge, but it put a bunch of dents in it. So now I'm going along and I'm hammering the dents out. It would be nice if I could hammer from the inside, but I can't. So we're hammering from this side, and I'm what I'm doing is I'm holding the block where the dent is, and then I'm hammering around the dent, bringing the rest of the material around it down to the same level. So it don't fit in my English wheel because we have this first bend in it, and I can't get to the inside to hammer it. So I'm thinking I probably should have bent the big side first and then went and bent the little side, and that way I would have had room to kind of work everything a little better. But it is what it is. For one, this is on the bottom. You don't ever see it. And I am planning on the bottom, underneath the truck is getting undercoated. And this will have a lip, like so. And this lip will get painted, you know, this is going to get painted the same color of the truck. And I'm going to, this will get seam sealed underneath there, and then it's going to get a tape line. This will be blue, this will be undercoated. So a couple of little dingers in there I don't think is going to make a huge difference as long as we can get the big ones out. Nice that there was none in there to begin with. He said, I did the first one a year ago, and if I remember correctly, I did it twice. And I don't remember what it was that I did, so. All I know is the driver's side looks nice. So let's make passenger side nice too. This little block's heavy. I think that looks pretty good. Alright, that's it. Now I gotta go through and sheet metal screw everything. And that I need Colleen for. And she's in the middle of work at the moment. So I'm going to go check on her and see if she is free for 20 minutes or so to tech screw this thing together. I'll be back. Okay, so Colleen helped me. Get it tech screwed in all together. You know, we got 5 on the bottom, 5 on the top, tech screwing it together. Now I'll have to count on the other side, see how many spot welds I did so that we can match one side to the other, but you know, it ends up getting holes drilled and then we spot weld it. I still got to sandblast the outer piece, this outer piece inside and out. Then we got to paint the inside. We got to paint the inside of the piece that we just made. And then we can get it welded all together. But for right now, it's going to stay tech screwed at least for the next few days at the least. Now the next thing is getting the door. I gotta go get the door out of the trailer, and then we gotta get the door mounted, and I gotta check fitment at the rear cab corner, front cab corner, rocker. Yeah, and then we can go on from there. So I'll see you guys when I have a door. Okay, so we got the door back in here. A couple things that I gotta do to the door before we can attempt to put it on. For one, I gotta break these hinges loose, and we gotta change out the hardware to modern hardware. This has old flathead screws in it. We're gonna put Torx in it. I did it on the driver's side. I don't know if that got videoed or not, or if that was part of our lost videos, but I broke the top loose already. The bottom usually is a little tougher because that's where everything tends to sit in the bottom of the door. So let's see if we can get the bottom broke loose. I also have to remove this door catch here because it's in the way of opening and shutting the door. So we have to remove that. So I think that those are the two things that we need to do before we can put the door on the truck. I also noticed after I grabbed the door, I just kind of stepped back and I was taking a look and taking it all in that, like, hey, you know, this side of the truck is coming together, and I was just kind of taking it in. and I look down the door jamb, and I can tell that the lower cab corner is crooked. Now, we may have had it straight before, and when we pulled and straightened out all those hinges, now it's all nice and straight, because those hinge pockets were all messed up, and we straightened those out the other day. And this is the first time that this cab corner's been back on since we did that. So it's possible that I just didn't notice that it was crooked because everything was so bent out of shape. And now that it's all nice and straight, I can see that it's crooked. Or it was just crooked and I just didn't catch it till today. So we are gonna have to take that lower cab corner back off, and we're gonna have to trim some off of it and adjust it up. It does look like we have a little bit of room in between the inner piece and the outer piece to adjust, but chances are we're gonna have to adjust that inner piece as well. So, you know, I'm not looking forward to doing that because I thought we were done. It sucks to go back and have to work on something again that you thought was done, but it looks like we're gonna have to do that. So, and it's not just a little off. I'll show you guys when we go to take it back off. I'll show you, like when you hold a straight edge in the door, like it's not bad. There's less than 1/8 inch of a gap that's showing, but when you hold the straight edge on the outside of the door jamb, like it goes from nothing down to like 1/4 of an inch at the bottom. So like we gotta, you know, it's probably 1/8 of an inch that it's gotta move up in the front, that we gotta go up like 1/8 of an inch, and that should straighten everything out. Only at the front. The back, I think we're okay. It's just the front, like we just gotta trim a little off on the front and we should be able to go up with it, hopefully. But let's see if we can get this lower hinge pulled. Hopefully it comes as easy as the top did. This here's an impact driver. If you don't know what they are, I suggest having one. They work awesome. What it is it has a loosen and a tighten on it, and you smack it with a hammer, and it cranks the way that you need to go. So I suggest doing this like before you hit it with the impact. You know, impact, if you just hit this with an impact, being a flathead, you're just gonna ruin the screw, or you're gonna ruin your bits. So you gotta crack them loose first. I push down on it and I turn to loosen, and then smack it with the hammer. That one loosen. Filled with some gunk, making sure it can get in there well. Okay, that one cracked loose. I pre-soaked these before we started. I let them soak for, I don't know, probably an hour before I attempted to crack them loose, maybe a half hour. Right. Those came out a lot easier than the other side. Not only did they come out a lot easier than the other side, but the stock doors, so I ended up having to pull one of the hinges from the stock doors, the blue doors that came off of this. So these hinges feel okay. One of the hinges on the driver's side door was like super sloppy. You could wiggle it like it needed a new pin put in. So I had to switch it from the blue door to the red door on the driver's side, and I could not get them out of the blue door. I may have had to drill one of them. It was a pain in the butt. It was not easy. I don't know if this little guy's gonna take them out either, because his batteries are just shot. I need new batteries for this. One. So the reason that we're changing this hardware out, these things have adjustment in and out on them. The driver's side, it needed to be adjusted, so I'm sure the passenger side is going to need to be adjusted. You know, these doors came off of a different vehicle, so they were adjusted for that vehicle. You know, these vehicles back then were, you know, they were made by hand, so no one of them is the same. These came out way nicer than the other side, the driver's side. I tell you what. I tell you what. So we got they're just Torx bits. They're exactly the same as what came out of here, just in a more modern grade A Torx bit. So those flatheads really suck, especially when they start to wear out or get damaged. When you're putting them back in, that they thread in by hand. Don't force them. You screw up the threads on one of these and you're in trouble. On the driver's side, truck side of it, not the door side, but the truck side, I had a couple break off. I had one that I had to drill out. The ones that broke off in there, I had to drill those out and easy out them. There was one I think I had to retap. Yeah, it was a mess. So far this passenger side has come out much better. Even when I pulled the old door off the passenger side, like it took a lot to get it off. I had to heat it and beat it, but I was able to get it off. Where, like I said, the driver's side was, you know, I had screws break, I had them strip out. I had actually had on the one of the top ones. So there's these little like cages in there, and they got a square nut in there. And when I was hammering on it with the impact driver, like it actually broke the cage away from the truck. So I had to drill holes, and then I had to get a bolt in there, and we had to pull the cage back tight and weld it back in. And yeah, it was just, driver's side was horrible. So far, passenger side's been decent. So, I even on the driver's side, trying to get the hinge out on the driver's side because the doors had been folded over backwards and bent the heck out of everything. Like I couldn't even get the hinge out of the door, like it was wedged in there. Which I don't know, maybe some of that's on video, some of it might not be, I don't know. I don't recall there being any videos on YouTube of this part. I could be wrong. So this may be lost footage. For right now, I'm just trying to center the bolts and the holes. They will need adjusted once we get it on the truck. When you're trying to square the door inside the door jamb of the truck, this is your adjustment. You don't have adjustment in the other end of the hinge. So next thing we gotta do once we get this door on and we get it squared up and we got the front cab corner squared up and we got the back corner squared up and the rockers all squared up, we gotta do lower door jamb on, or lower door skin on this, which I may or may not film. We filmed the driver's side, and that one I know is on YouTube, so I guess if you want to watch the door get skinned, go back and watch the driver's side. Please do like, subscribe, share. So we got that done, so now we need to get this thing out. I have new ones. That I do believe is on YouTube as well, me doing the driver's side ones. I don't know who makes that kit. I don't know if that came from Willys, but whoever designed it did an awesome job. Redesigning this, super easy. There is welding involved, but super easy to install. Flatheads, I did not soak those. A little bit of heat goes a long way. Don't touch them. Alright, well, while we let that cool off, I'm gonna show you guys what's going on with that cab corner. So, and like I said, I didn't notice this at all with any of the times that we were messing with this. But I noticed it today when I stepped back and I took a look. This looks nice and straight, and then it looks like this veers that way. And if we hold a straight edge up to it, you can see there's like a 1/16 of a gap there. And if I hold the straight edge into the door jamb, overlapping the bottom piece, you can see how much we're off down here at the bottom. Like, you know, we're probably close to, you know, we're probably between 1/8 and 1/4 off on the bottom. So that this panel needs to twist up a little. I'm not gonna mess with any of this stuff. We're gonna take it off of the panel. Cause I got this stuff. That stuff came out great. I don't want to mess with that stuff. So, but I'm gonna shut you guys down here, and we'll be back. Be back when the door's on, maybe? I don't know. We'll be back. I need to get set up over here regardless. I don't have any of my tools ready to start adjusting this, so we'll be back. Maybe I'll turn you guys on, maybe I won't. I've been out here, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours now. I think going on 4 hours. So I did a lot of adjusting on the lower cab. This is just kind of an update of where we left off yesterday, was it? I think it was yesterday, yeah. So I was talking about having to adjust that cab corner up. So I came out here this morning. I had to remove that lower box. I had to remove the inside piece. We had to adjust the lower box some. We adjusted that inside piece, and we adjusted the outside cab corner. If I had to guess, I'd say I probably took off an 1/8 inch, maybe a little bit more on the front. And now I have inside the door jamb, putting a straight edge from the box to the door jamb. We're completely touching all the way up and down. It's straight. Same thing with the door jamb itself to that lower cab, that lower cab piece that we put in. I got that. If you guys, you know, remember in the video or go back in the video, there was a gap in the middle, so it was touching at the top of the straight edge, bottom of the straight edge, gap in the middle. That told me that it needed to be adjusted. So we made that adjustment. Now we have it straight all the way across except for right where it's going to be welded, which, you know, I'm okay with that. We got it all tacked back together. I put the rocker in where I feel that the rocker needs to be sitting to be level with the bottom of the truck. I shouldn't say level because it's probably not level, but it's eyeballing appeasing, you know, when you're looking at it. It's not going uphill, it's not going downhill, like it looks nice and straight across. So since I got that done, I've been working on reassembling the passenger side of the truck. And I remember going through this on the driver's side, and so does Colleen. Even Colleen said, like, you went through this on the driver's side. So nothing lines up properly. And I did a lot of adjusting and making stuff line up properly on the driver's side. So, you know, I think we're to that point. I think I'm gonna get the driver's side door, and we're gonna put the driver's side door back on, just so that I can look from side to side and make sure that we're matching. But you know, kind of here's where we're at. I'll show you. So we pretty much got the passenger side of the vehicle put back together. So one of the things that I see is this gap here. Now, we had a gap like that on the driver's side, and the fenders that came off of this truck, the blue ones, on the driver's side, it was ripped all the way, like probably halfway down, if not 3/4 of the way down. It was ripped. And there was this huge gap in here. And when we got the red fender was in much better condition, but same thing, it was ripped up here, and there was a huge gap. So I ended up having to cut the fender down this way, like right down here, and I remade a piece for this, and we closed up this gap. So we're gonna have to do the same thing here. Whether I just cut this and we let this relax over, and I put a filler piece in there, which was the original plan on the other side, and I just felt that it for adjustment wises with the holes and not having to have two welds and whatnot, I just made a new piece. We'll figure that out when we get to that, but this is something that we're gonna have to address here, is this gap. So that's one thing that I'm seeing. The next thing that I'm seeing here, our door gap is nice and straight for the most part all the way down until you get down to our piece. And it's, you know, it's close to touching down there on the bottom. Too close for my likings. But if we hold a straight edge, like we're straight. I mean, I have it straight now. We're good. So I believe that this is correct. And now we have to work on the door. So this is getting the door skin put on the bottom. So until I get that new door skin on there, I don't really know what's going to be going on down here yet, because this thing is it's all rusty and rotted down here on the bottom, and that bends the door out of shape when that stuff happens. I mean, you can see, you know, we're all rotted out. So and that bends the door out of shape, and it throws stuff off. So until I cut this off, and on the other side I had to replace all the inner structure, and then we could put the skin on. So I'm just counting on having to do the same thing here. So we have a nice decent gap here in the middle, but as we get to the end where it's really rusted, we're touching. So, and if I remember correctly, I had the same problem on the driver's side. And I ended up, the rocker was welded in at that point, and I ended up coming in here with a 2x4, and I tapped down on the rocker at each end to kind of open up that gap a little bit. So that may be something that we have to do here too as well, but we won't know until I get this door skin done. So, and then if we scoot over a little bit farther, again, we are dealing with a rotted area here, but it looks like the door gap is nice and straight coming all the way down, and then it gets tight here at the bottom. So it's possible that we may have to, you know, there is just a hair of a gap there, like a 64th of a gap. I mean, it is so minute, but it's possible. That's why I only tacked this in. It's possible we may have to cut these tacks and just you know, trim this back a little bit and move this, you know, move that door jamb over a little bit to even up that gap. So another thing too is up at the top here, we have a good gap here. It's pretty big. I think we can go up a little with the door. I'm gonna need Colleen's help with going up with the door. So, but you know, that's, you know, it's a nice straight gap. It's a nice even straight gap all the way across. You know, if we can come up you know, a 1/16 of an inch, that'll open up some of our gap on the bottom as well. Nothing's hitting, so you know, we're good in that part. Another thing that I do see, and this was something that I had to do on the driver's side, is if you look at this gap, like, you know, we're nice and even, and then all of a sudden we start to stick out on the top. So, and it's like that both front and back. So on the driver's side, I cut the door on the inside, not on the outside, but I cut the door on the inside, both here and here, and I pushed the top of the door over a little bit, and then we welded up our line that we cut, and that sucked the top of the door in. So, and just that little bit that we did it, you know, 1/8 of an inch, it doesn't affect the glass or anything like that. It's so minute. And on the driver's side, when I cut it, it literally just fell in place where it needed to be, and I just welded it back up. I mean, it was that easy. I cut it, it fell in, I welded it up. So, and we tried everything to straighten it out. I tried using ratchet straps to pull the door over. We put the door on the ground. We put 2x4s underneath the top of the door. And me and Colleen were standing on it. Like, we tried everything to get it to manipulate, and it just wasn't happening. Cutting it was the last resort. You know, I tried heating it and everything. So you know, it looks like that's, you know, the same things that I did on the driver's side are going to have to be done on the passenger side. I do think that the passenger side is fitting a lot better than the driver's side did, but still the same issues. You know, this back here, I'm not entirely happy with the way that looks. And even Colleen came out here, and she was looking at everything that was going on, and she pointed that out too, that it doesn't look right back here. And you can see that there's a gap in between the two panels. So this panel actually needs to come in on the bottom. If you remember, when I was doing that panel, I cut that panel a hair short, and I ran it through the English wheel to stretch it out to gain what I was missing, and it worked, but it kind of bowed the panel from running it through the English wheel, which, you know, I knew was a chance that it could happen. So I think I'm going to disregard that piece, or discard that piece. Not disregard, I'm going to discard that piece, and we're going to make a new one. And I think that we're going to end up making the new a new bottom lower flange that I put in the shrinker. So I think we're going to end up making a new one of those as well. Just because it needs to, for one, when I was making it, there was a couple of areas on it where, like, instead of it shrinking the metal, it folded the metal, and then it caused a kink on the outside. So we have a couple spots there, which not a big deal. You know, a little bit of filler would have fixed it, but I think it's holding the bottom out a little bit farther than it needs to be held out. So I think if we just start over with that rear cab corner, we can scoot the jam over just a hair so that we're clearing on the door, and then I'll get rid of the bubble and it's sticking out too far. I mean, I don't know if you guys can pick it up on the video, but you know that it looks like it's nice and straight, and then it kicks out on the bottom, and I think that it just needs to be kicked back in. So you know, not a big deal. I don't think that cab corner took me that long to make, so you know, we'll remake that cab corner. But you know, I think we're getting there. I think just, you know, we need to start to go through and start making the adjustments that I made on the driver's side, like cutting the door and letting the door fall in where it needs to be, cutting that piece of that fender and extending it over a little bit and putting a filler piece in there, or like I did on the other side, make a new piece. You know, I think we need to fix that rear cab corner. So, and then, you know, of course we gotta, you know, I think it's time to start doing that lower door skin. So I don't know that I'm gonna attack the lower door skin today, or possibly even tomorrow. It's raining out, and I need to. There's going to be a lot of sandblasting that goes on, and I need to. Actually, I might have enough here, but anyways, it's raining. I don't want to sandblast it in here. Driver's side I took outside, and I sandblasted it outside. So I could sandblast it in here, but it's just going to make a huge mess. So, and there's a lot of sandblasting. So I'm gonna wait for a nice day, I think, to, you know, we could probably get it cut open. Maybe, you know, today or tomorrow we can get it cut open. But, yeah. So, just a little update for you guys. I think, you know, I think we're in fine-tuning stage of everything. Like, you know, we got it all put together, and it looks good, but it needs to look just a little bit better. So, and like I said, I'm gonna go get the driver's side door. Maybe when it stops raining here. It's raining right now, and there's a lot of bare metal on that door. So, or well, at least the lower half of it's bare metal. So. Yeah, I'm going to get that door. We're going to put that on, and then that way we can take measurements from side to side and make sure everything's even. So, yeah, that's it. That's where we're at. I'll see you before we start making any major decisions, but just a little update. See you guys soon.